Welcome to our Mentor Me Career Path panel. Today we have with us Siddharth and Isha.
Firstly, before I go on to introducing myself, I want to say a big thank you to you and the team for organizing this panel. Really happy to help TISP students as a very proud TISP alumnus. Having said that, I studied at TISP for 8 years. I joined in my fifth standard and stayed till graduation. I'm really grateful for my time there. I went on to study economics at University of Warwick in the UK, and now I'm working within cybersecurity at Deloitte. So quite an interesting career switch. Happy to talk about that later.
Thanks for organizing the panel as well. So my name is Isha Rupani, and I was in TISB batch of 2013 is when I graduated, so a really long time ago. And I went to NYU for economics. So I did my undergraduate studies in New York at New York University. And right after graduation, I moved to Silicon Valley to look for jobs in tech. And I started as an account manager in a privately owned tech company called Sitecore. And I was there for 3 years in the Valley. So lots of like networking opportunities there. Happy to answer any questions regarding tech. And I just recently transferred to the London office with the same company this August. So I have been in London for the last 2.5 months. So yeah, great to talk to you guys.
So my job currently is as a cybersecurity consultant at Deloitte. So I work in their risk advisory and consulting business. And what that really means is we help companies and government departments with their cybersecurity regulation and their cybersecurity needs. My day-to-day job mostly looks like helping our client, which is a governmental department in the UK, test for compliance against a set of cybersecurity laws that they published over 6 or 7 years ago, and this is pertaining specifically to the energy industry. So on a daily basis, I'm usually on client calls in the morning, and then internal meetings to discuss our client workshops, and then towards the end of the week, I am mostly working either on reports or holding internal meetings to brief the leadership within Deloitte about what we've discovered, and if we discovered any material non-compliance in the clients that we've seen. So I appreciate there's a lot of technical terms in there. Happy to break that down if there are any questions. Yeah, I think that's what my life looks like as a Deloitte consultant.
Yeah, so I am an account executive at Sitecore. Basically, what the role involves is client management. So in the US, I was managing about 60 to 70 clients based in the Texas, Oklahoma region. And the technology that I work on is enterprise level. So making sure that the clients are set up with the right resources to implement the technology. So all the way from making sure they can implement the technology correctly and go live on their new website with the right technology, from customer success, renewal, so making sure the customers are renewing on a 3-year basis and they are a client of ours. Also looking at any net new prospects in the area that might be interested in purchasing the technology. So all the way from cross-selling, upselling to our different products with our existing customers, as well as looking out for any net new customers in the patch that might be interested in a demo of the technology, all the way from contracts, negotiations, to closing the deal. So a heavy sales component in technology, as well as like making sure there's a pipeline of around $1 million that is closed per year, which is assigned to us as account executives. So yeah, that's kind of what I do.
So I did a major in economics, and I'm working in cybersecurity. So my major and my career paths are completely unrelated. But I think what commonality I had was the networking opportunities that the Department of Economics offered with companies such as Deloitte, which offer more than just one kind of service. So what essentially happened is during my second year of university, I did an internship at an investment bank, and the client I was working with happened to be a cybersecurity company. So in one of the networking opportunities that I got with the client after we finished the deal, I got to discussing with him how I can get involved in cybersecurity. And then that's when I realized that you do not need a technical background in hacking or coding or computer science for that matter to get involved in a field such as cybersecurity. And I found that pretty interesting. And then I reached out to a few seniors from University of Warwick who were working at cybersecurity firms, and they suggested that Deloitte is probably the first port of call if you want to enter an industry such as cybersecurity. And I think the major factor was networking. I think those two conversations I had with those two individuals, it has shaped my career decisions, and those are the two biggest factors.
So this is a really good question because I feel like a lot of college students, get into college and like focus on, just performing and grades and making sure that they have a high GPA. And I definitely believe that like work experience was really important early on, and that really helped me get the job that I got. Just because when you're in a client facing role, they do not like giving anyone right out of university a job because they don't have any experience working with clients. They don't want to make you the face of the company. You need to have any sort of work experience in terms of like internships in order to get a client facing role, or you can get a back office role, which is I don't think is super interesting. So all through college, I was definitely doing internships. Living in New York City, I did internships during the semester. So I would stack up my classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays or Mondays and Wednesdays, and then for the rest of the days do an internship. The companies are so closely located to NYU. So I interned in wealth management. I interned in tech as an account executive, but doing the back office work in research. I've also interned like in fashion. I interned in ad sales at BBC. So I just did a bunch of things because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no clue. Econ was just a major that opened a lot of doors. So I just did it because, it establishes credibility when you are applying for jobs having an econ degree. But there isn't like really a job that you can get from econ unless you go into the World Bank or you go into the International Monetary Fund or something like that. And those again, they're interesting jobs, highly competitive. In some locations in the world you can get such jobs, but I feel internships are so important. So after getting into college, like, yes, focus on grades, but more than that, like if you can do remote internships, summer internships, definitely recommend that for a full-time job, in the future.
Sorry, I was just adding on to Isha's point. I think it is very important to understand that your major does not have to correlate with your career, and I think that I learned that lesson practically. And it would have been very helpful if I knew that before entering college, so I wouldn't have had a narrow mindset when I entered college. Yeah, that's all I would say.
No, I think it's interesting, and I think both of you are economics majors, and I think like I'm a biology major, so I think like when a lot of my friends were doing like economics, I always used to ask them, like, why eco? Like, what can you do with eco? Like, it's just like that's such a vague like term, and like what you learn, it's very broad. There's nothing really specific there, and they were always like, no. Like eco itself, eco itself is a stepping stone to so many doors that can be like opened through the major, which I think is something extremely important.
So it is possible to switch your majors once you're in the UK after your first year in college, but that would mean you have to repeat your first year. So you take a step back, and I certainly wasn't interested in spending an extra year at university because I want to go out there and get work experience. And having said that, I was dead certain about economics ever since I started studying economics in the 11th grade in TISB. I was almost certain that I want to pursue a major in this subject. So I never considered the possibility of switching a major when I came down to university. The career conversations about cybersecurity only started towards the end of my second year at university. So it was very late on during my degree when I realized this is also an opportunity that I can use. Sorry, that's probably a little bit of a non-answer, but I never considered the possibility of switching majors. And in the UK, it is difficult to switch majors. So you have to be absolutely certain when you pick a major in UK, because there is no option to either do a minor or switch your degree unless you are willing to take a step back for a year. How I approached it was I had an initial conversation with my college counselor, and wherein we discussed what subjects I am interested in and what kind of a career I would like. So what conclusion I came to was I'm happy to do a corporate job in the first few years of my of my career. And in terms of subjects, I was interested in physics and in economics, but I was leaning more towards economics. So what I would suggest you do is you have a very open-minded conversation with your college counselor, where you honestly lay down your interest in which subjects that you like to study and you enjoy studying in school, and then how that can translate into a career, how can that can translate into your career goals. I think that is a very dead set way to decide your major, and this is very important too if you're coming to the UK, because this is a one-time decision, and if you get it wrong, you basically have to repeat a year. So I would say, yeah, the conversation with your college counselor. I think that should be a very good starting point. And obviously, you have to you have to do the research on what kind of career opportunities are there and what kind of colleges offer what courses. Is it realistic for you to get in terms of your current grades and your predicted grades as well? So there's a lot of factors that play a role. Yeah, but I think the starting point should be you make a list of your interests and your career goals.
So very different if you're applying to US universities, I think, from everything that's already been said. You can totally apply undecided. You don't have to know which major you want. Even if you start with some major, I think about 50% or more of my friends who started with a certain major did not finish graduating with that in 4 years. You do not have to declare your major, at least from what I remember, till junior year. And later in junior year, like almost springtime, was when you had to declare a major. So you're basically 2.5 years into college when you have to declare a major. And you have a lot of courses that you can do beforehand. So if you're interested in chemistry and you're interested in psychology, you can do both of those and then decide if that's the path you want to take. There are a lot of schools that promote liberal studies education as well. That might be good. For instance, Columbia has a core curriculum that you have to do, which means you have to do all subjects before declaring a major. It's mandatory. So a school like that might be good for someone who doesn't know what they want to do. NYU had a liberal studies program that I participated in. So a lot of US universities have those programs, and that allows you to do everything. I did art history, I did English writing, I did sciences, social sciences, all of that, and then picked econ at the in junior year.
I personally believe, like, to some extent, I think it allows you to have a good opportunity to like create a really good community, because I think like the friends that you make at TISB are very I think like invaluable to you throughout like your life.
Yeah, so I think the one value or one kind of trait was proactiveness. So teachers in TISB often reinstated that nothing's going to be spoon fed to you. You have to take up the initiative to do things, and that's how it's going to be in the real world. So when you do go to university, there is even less spoon feeding than school. And once you start your career, there is no spoon feeding at all. You are out there on your own. So being proactive, being a self starter, is something that I think TISB really taught me, and I've carried that through. And the second thing was a few of my teachers again kept reinstating the fact that if you don't work on your strengths, they might even become your weaknesses. So once you're a student in TISP and you're doing IB, for example, for me, I knew there were certain subjects which I was just good at, and I didn't really need to work that hard. And I think that lets complacency seek in, and that is detrimental. So you have to make sure that complacency doesn't seek into anything, and but there is no substitute for hard work. So don't just assume that, okay, I'm good at this subject, so I'm just going to do well without putting in any work. Yeah, so I think these two things have carried through.
Yeah, definitely reiterate everything he said. Very important. Beyond that, I think the community part is very important. Make sure you keep in touch with all your friends. Especially in the US, you have so many holidays. I still remember we had fall break, spring break, Thanksgiving break, and every break was when our TISB friends, we all met together, we did something. And it was so nice and refreshing to see that, just because a lot of people who come from like other schools in India don't have that community. And it's really nice to have that in the US, especially. I got a lot closer to some of my friends that I wasn't even in school, just because you're doing so many other things in school. But I got close to them after that, just, during holidays. And the other thing I would just say is discipline. Like, I know when you go to college, like, you are in the free world, no one is really like checking on you, you're not, accountable to anybody. With TISB, you have that sort of discipline, especially like in boarding school, making sure you study when you are supposed to study, like finish your homework, like be the person who meets the deadlines. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but make sure that you have that work ethic and discipline.
So certainly no Eureka moment for me. It was a gradual process, and there was also a mentor involved. So once I understood that this is an opportunity that I can take up, I did reach out to people within Deloitte who I'm working with today, and had a conversation with them about what I can do to get in, and how do I get in, and whether this is a good career switch for me. And this person happened to be again from TISB. So reiterating on Isha's point, the community aspect of it. So there was somebody from TISB who was working in the office and the department I was that I wanted to go to. So I just reached out to him, and being a fellow TISB student, he replied to me after having not spoken to him for a few years. So I think that conversation really helped me, over the edge. I was very uncertain to go into a career like this, but luckily I got an opportunity to do an internship before I made my career decision. So I think that gradual process, those 6 weeks that I spent at Deloitte, and after that, I was 100% sure that there is no other company I'd rather work for and no other department I'd rather work in. And yeah, that's when it happened. So the gradual process of having conversation with different kind of people and then getting an internship. And then during the internship is when you can say I had my Eureka moment of, okay, there's no way I'm working anywhere else now.
So I think I realized pretty much when I had declared my major that wasn't the major for me, because everyone that was going, doing economics was going into finance and consulting. And I attended a lot of networking events at, different investment banks in New York. And I was just not like feeling it. Like I was, this isn't the culture that I want to go into. And it just wasn't resonating with me that much. So I started looking for jobs in tech, either at a VC or a tech company. And that's what brought me to Silicon Valley. And I have like a lot of friends that are software engineers. I am on the sales side of technology. So with econ, I feel like a lot of the softer skills matter a lot, because you learn how to be like good at problem solving, you learn analytical skills. So with that, I am analyzing data. I'm also handling revenue streams for the company. I am like in client management, you are advising the client on ROI for technology, return on investment, or anything like that. So those small tidbits did come into use. But as I think we've already said, your major does not have anything to do with the job that you do, does not have to. It can correlate, and computer science would typically lead to a degree in software engineering or product management, which is great. But if you are doing a degree in economics, as I mentioned, there are few jobs that you can do that directly correlate with it. And you can do, I mean, I see so many people not working in the econ field. Like they are working in journalism after economics, they are doing communications. So it's a very broad major. It is, that you worked hard to get good grades in that major. It's not something that's easy to do. That's all that matters. As long as you're working hard and getting decent grades, I think it's fine.
Yeah, sure. I probably useful if I break it down into two. There's like a set of technical decisions that I make, being a subject matter expert in something that I'm doing, and there is career-based decisions that you take on a daily basis of what opportunity do I take within Deloitte. I think the more tangible one is the career-based decision. So being a part of a consulting firm, and if any of the students do end up going there, they will realize the amount of choice that they have in working within a consulting firm. So you can decide what kind of work you want to do. You can say yes or no to projects. You can say yes or no to parts of a project. You can say yes or no to parts, like what responsibilities you want to take within a project. So choosing what is right for you and setting. So what I've done in the beginning is I have a performance mentor. So I've sat down with him and made a list of goals that I want to achieve over the next 12 months. And then based on those goals, I make career decisions saying, okay, I want to lead client meetings. I want to work on a delivery model of advising clients. I want to work on a delivery model of assessing companies on their performance. These are different kind of projects I want to do. So those goals influence my decisions, and these are high level decisions. And then when it comes to subject matter expertise, the kind of decisions I would take is right now I'm doing a project which involves me assessing if the electric companies are complying by the cybersecurity framework that has been designed by the government. So at the end of the day, me and my manager decide whether this company is compliant or not. So you're going to take a decision based on our subject matter knowledge and report to the government department whether they should proceed with sanctions or or be happy with that company in terms of how they are complying with the regulations. So yeah, those are the two kinds of decisions that I take on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so I think I will go off of what he said in terms of the types of decisions. I think they're very similar to, anyone who is 3 years or 4 years out of college. Like, you're not really in a management position as of yet. Like, you are making decisions like he mentioned. So I think some of the decisions that I take at work are right now, a lot of healthcare companies are coming to us to broaden their web presence and have a web presence through web applications or websites. So making sure we are pointing them in the right direction. As a subject matter expert in the technology space, making sure they have the right resources to make a decision as well. And then career-based, very similar, like making a decision whether you want to stay with the company, especially in Silicon Valley. There is, I think, the general rule is like every 2 years you switch your job and you keep getting promoted outside work or at work. So those kind of decisions, performance-based reviews that you have every quarter, those are some decisions you make as to what how you want to review the people that you work with, how you want to be reviewed by the people you work with. So I don't think there are very high impact decisions, but you influence more decisions than make decisions. That's what I would say for myself.
So from a lifestyle perspective, I think switching from university to a corporate job, your lifestyle is going to change, because in university you have absolute flexibility as to what you want to do and when you want to do it. And when it comes to a corporate job, such as in consulting, especially, you have 9 to 5 and you have to adhere to client hours rather than your own company's hours. Having said that, Deloitte is one of the most flexible companies in terms of working. Even before COVID hit, we had a very massive presence of working from home. So so working from home hasn't been a very big transition for me, because I used to do it regularly before as well. But another component of consulting is also traveling for work. So we often go to different destinations, not just within the country, but different countries as well, to client offices for meetings. And I got that opportunity from day one of traveling to a client office outside the UK. So from a lifestyle perspective, obviously it is very different from university, but I would say it's more of an upgrade rather than a downgrade in terms of the change. So it's a change for the better. And then when it comes to well-being, I think from my perspective at least, and from my experience, it's always been around surrounding yourself with people who are very positive and who help you rather than find problems with things. And I think I've been maybe fortunate, or maybe just made good decisions of being friends with people who I've surrounded myself with. So be it within Deloitte or be it within university, I think I've always surrounded myself with people who improve the well-being of my well-being rather than bring it down. And to answer your last question about how the companies engage with us, so I think this is what my firm has done really well, is that they've kept on sending us presents, and we've kept on having virtual socials. So we every couple of weeks we get like a hamper with gifts in it. So this is just to make you still feel a part of the team. And then we usually have virtual socials and that kind of stuff to keep the social bond within the employees. So I think in all marks, it's been a very positive experience.
I think you'll get two different perspectives from like finance to tech. So I think again, I would stress on this that interning during college is so important, because I know so many of my friends who didn't do it, and once they got their first job, they were like, "We can't focus 9 to 5. Like we're not used to doing an 8-hour workday." And for me, I thought that was an easier transition because I had done a few internships before I started my first job. And I would stress on this that, interning either remotely or having that like 9 to 5, making sure your attention span can last that long is very important. From a well being standpoint, I have always picked jobs or positions that have a really good work life balance. So for me, I start at like 8 in the morning because it's a client facing role. So we start really early, but we're done by like 6 p.m., 5:30, 6 p.m. So I get time to work out, meet friends, cook. So making sure that part of my life is still there. Now that there's no commute, there's even more time. And engaging with the company itself, again with tech, it's a really big component is team collaboration. So they take us to a different location once a year for client meetings, and they also take us to a location for team collaboration within the US. So I've been to San Diego with them, I've been to Florida, and we're just like living together, doing team building activities, training, enablement. There's a lot of happy hours, making sure that you attend after work events to build a community at work. The conversations are just so different when you leave the office, that those are really important. Oh, that's a good question, except I don't have a normal work life in the UK. So the company is still the same. So we still have the same events. They used to fly all the people from the UK to the US for these two events per year. And we have to travel for work to meet clients. So I would visit Texas a lot. Now my clients are based in the UK, so I'm guessing I'll be traveling, to the countryside or wherever in the UK for work. But that's obviously all on hold right now, and there is no signs of going back to the office.
Yeah, for the US UK difference in work culture, I think I have a few friends who worked in within US and have come to the UK, and I would say that they like the transition. So US is more hands-on in terms of the number of hours that they work. So US is more intense in terms of work culture, and this is from a finance and consulting perspective. So majority of my friend circle is in finance or consulting. So they say the finance industry and the consulting industry in the US at least, they expect more of a 9 to 9 or 9 to 10. That's the kind of work that they have on a normal day. And in the UK, it's never going to be more than 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. So it's more intense in the US and less intense in the UK. So I think the number one there's obviously pros and cons, like there are for everything. So the number one advantage is that you get to visit new locations. So I've been to pretty much every corner of the United Kingdom because of work, as well as visited a couple of places in Europe, which I probably wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise, because I wouldn't have that many holidays in a year to visit these many places. So I think that's a very big pro. The second one is you get really close to your team because you spend pretty much an entire week with your team. So you not only do you work with them, but after work you go for any if you happen to stay in the same facility, you're most likely going to spend your dinner or just go to a pub with them. So I think I think that team bonding is very important, and that's a very big advantage. On the flip side, though, if you're traveling, or if you have an early Monday morning meeting, you got to sacrifice your Sunday traveling to that destination. So you lose one day of your weekend, and also you don't come back to the comfort of your own home, and you have to stay in a hotel room for, let's say, a week or so. And if you travel very often, like I used to, there have been months where I only stayed at my own house for like a day or two in an entire month. So you don't stay with the friends that you have in London. Like say for my example, you end up traveling a lot more. So you could get disconnected with a few friends in your hometown, basically. So that's a potential disadvantage. But COVID's put that to a stop now, and now we're all at home, so no traveling. So in terms of advice to choose your career, I think I think having not been to university and having not chosen a major and having not chosen which country you're going to be in, I don't think you should be thinking about which exact career line you want to go to, and you should have an open mind. Because as a TIG student, at least from my experience, I did not have enough knowledge about what career opportunities I have from the onset. So choosing one career path before I even entered university would just result in me not looking at all the opportunities that are potentially available to me. So I would say pick a few, pick 4 or 5, 3 or 4 industries that you think are your aspiration, and then go to university with that mindset, and then keep an open mind to explore if anything else is possible. As Isha said, it is integral to do internships to find out, because you don't know what you like and what you do not like until you try. So I did an internship in an investment bank, and I found consulting to be more fruitful. So you have to try it before you can say I don't like it for sure. So don't rule out anything from the onset. And then the second part is the challenges that I faced while applying. So it's obviously if you're applying for a corporate job, you're always going to be competing against a huge number of people. So statistically, it's like a 1% chance that you even get an interview. So I think the challenge is keeping up the faith, because you apply to a lot of firms, and then just to get a foot in the door, it takes time. So trust in the process and keep doing it, and I think eventually it'll pay off. So the challenge is to always be positive about it. So because there's always the next interview lined up. So one interview shouldn't dishearten you. One rejection shouldn't dishearten you to apply to further ones. So yeah, that's a challenge. And from an international student perspective, what I would say is the UK is very flexible, and job visas are not a hurdle. So this was a myth which is reiterated when I was in TISP, that if you go to the UK, it's very unlikely that you get a job. What I came here and saw was more than 80% of the international students who wanted a job got a job. So pretty much everybody who wants a job, when they come to the UK, they get one. Given the fact that they obviously work hard and take opportunities that they get to network and apply properly, and give their interviews well. So, but what I've seen with my friends is all of us who wanted a job in the UK are working right now in London. So it is a myth that visas are a hurdle. Visas are not a hurdle.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. Like, I think a lot of my friends who went to college in the UK ended up getting jobs, and there's a myth that you don't get jobs that easily. But I mean, it's not that bad as it seems. But again, with career path, as I've already mentioned, like internships are very important. Talking to people, networking is so important. Even if you don't live in a big city, make sure you reach out to people on LinkedIn and like just hit them up and be like, I want to learn about what you do. Like, I want to learn about, what you're doing day to day, what your job is about, what's your industry. Do you like it? Because I can tell you, so many of my friends started their first year at work and they hated their job and they were, not happy with it. They were like, we can't wait to switch. And these are people at companies like, Bloomberg or, big companies. So it's okay to come across the first job that you might not like and you're suffering for the first year, or it's okay to reach out to people and gather information. You do not have to call them and be like, hey, can you refer me to this position? Like, don't do that with people you don't know, but why they will be more than happy to tell you what they're doing on a day-to-day basis for free, like, with no compulsion for anything. So definitely do that. Talk to as many people as you can. um and then for challenges, again, as he said, it's very competitive. I think grades and internships can get you an interview. Make sure that you prepare for your interview as well. Don't take that lightly. And I there's no like formula to get through the process. Everyone suffers, everyone goes through it, and everyone is stressed, anxious. But I guess you just have to keep at it. You might have a gap of a couple of months if you are looking for jobs, and then you might land your dream job. So I mean, yeah, you just have to make sure your especially with NYU, we had a career portal. They advertised a lot of jobs there. I got my job off of LinkedIn. So go to networking events, go on LinkedIn, especially in this digital world. Like, make sure you're using whatever resources you have in terms of LinkedIn, as well as talking to people if you can, for jobs.
Yeah, definitely. I can name a lot of classes because I'm working in cybersecurity and economics. So there were a lot of computer science classes which I had the option to take, but I didn't take because I thought, economics is the way forward. And I think that's the mistake I made of not being open-minded. Although that is quite ironical because that's the advice I'm giving. So yeah, I think that if there's one thing I could do is I would do something related to computer science and security because Warwick had, Warwick had a lot of opportunities for me to pursue those kind of courses. But I just wasn't interested because I wasn't thinking that this could be a potential career path. And by the time I found out that this is the career I want to do, it was too late to take up those opportunities.
Yeah, I think I have a very similar answer. If there was any course I would have done, would have been something more technical. Just because I talk about tech all day to customers, talk about different languages, talk about technology, but I don't really know the back end. And it would be nice to have some more background on how technology is developed. Um, because the people who develop the technology are not the face of the client. So it's just taking computer science classes in school would have been very helpful. I think I was always just intimidated by taking it, but it's I mean, I should have just done it. Otherwise, I did do a lot of like other interesting classes. Like I took a few classes on Hindu studies, so like the Hindu Muslim uh, crisis in India, as well as I took a few classes on exhibitions. So we would go to different exhibitions and galleries in New York and write about it. So just take some interesting classes. Like I graduated early and I still did so many like time pass classes, and it's fine. Like you should do it. I would highly recommend.
Yeah, sure. I already touched a bit on this, and the answer in one word would be networking opportunities. So I think University of Warwick and similarly, a lot of colleges within the UK have a careers team which runs across the college, and so each department will have their own career own sub department for careers. So they organize a lot of events, and they invite a lot of companies to come on campus and host an event and have networking opportunities. So from memory, there was at least one or two networking events happening per week in University of Warwick. So it was never that I missed the opportunity to go because there was one. If you miss the event today, there's an event next Monday. So the number of career opportunities and the opportunity to talk to people within the business was astonishing. And then there are also like societies in colleges. So there was a finance society, a consulting society, a computer science society. So every society would again have representatives who basically Warwick alumni who are working within those companies, and they would have similar conversations like we are having today, and or virtually or physically. So I think those kind of opportunities are really helping. And they had stuff like CV clinics, mock interview preparation, and those kind of resources available. So I think that yeah, that fostered and that really put it ingrained in our minds how important it is to get started on your career early. And just because this was forced, these were some events were compulsory to attend even for first year students, so that they started thinking about these things early on. So I think that fostered a very good mindset of start thinking about it now.
Yeah, at NYU, we had the exact same things. I mean, I would assume any university has that in terms of career fairs. So we had career fairs, I think, every semester, and you could go talk to people from different companies and find out more about what opportunities they have available, whether it's that semester or the summer or anything like that. We had a career portal which we could access anytime, and there were opportunities posted on there including campus jobs. So you could do both. There were a lot of networking events by all these investment banks, as well as consulting companies and tech companies. Google, all of them had networking events in New York. So I would not say that was specific to NYU, but more towards like that was just happening in New York. And yeah, I think he covered basically everything. We had organizations as well. I'm not going to repeat everything he said. So organizations, career fairs, all of that.
Yeah, so
So
just one thing. It's very important that you make sure you use these things. So all of these are available, and that's great. That's an amazing platform to have. But it's no use if you don't make use of it from day one. So I think the advice would be, get involved because this is very helpful. This can literally change your life. So get involved. Yeah.
it's not a thing. It's definitely not a thing you think about like which club do I want to join when you're applying to universities. I think it's something that you should think of when you're narrowing down on universities. If you've gone into universities and you're just picking between two or three, or if you're picking, yeah, and it's like whatever, and like most of them are similar, like, and they're similar maybe in the quality of education, then start to look at like what clubs do they have, what organizations do they have like resources for, I don't know, biology students, or do they have resources for economics students? And I think doing your research on that, like when narrowing down your universities, is something that's really important.
I don't think so. I was just going to say, I mean, if you want to share our information or my information with the class and they have any follow-up questions, or they want, any information on anything, that I can advise from like London or San Francisco, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, similarly, if you can share my email or my Facebook with the current batch, I'm more than happy to advise for any UK colleges, because that's my experience. I'm not sure about the US part of things. Yeah, happy to help with any questions, college advice, career advice.